Episode 3 starts off with Yamori asking Akira why she has that little, transceiver. She says that she never threw it out because he gave it to her, and says that she was waiting for Yamori to call, but he never did. Yamori then asks if he handed it to her. Akira says no, but he left it on their mailbox. We see a shot where Yamori left the transceiver on the mailbox, but from a different perspective. In this new one, we see Akira off in the distance, kind of like looking at him. She tells Yamori that she's glad he seems okay because he used to be pretty gloomy, and that she was worried about him because they're friends. Akira wasn't sure if Yamori considered her a friend because he was standoffish, but he thought about it on his own and gave her a token of how he felt. The whole situation turns out to be one big misunderstanding, but he can't bring himself to correct the misunderstanding. We get a flashback of Yamori squatting down, watching some ants carry a dead insect, and Akira comes up to him and invites him to come play. He says that he's having fun with everyone else in his own way, so don't worry about him. Akira squats down next to him and asks if they're friends. Yamori thinks about it for a second and replies with, I guess. You can tell that Yamori is shocked by Akira just sitting down next to him. It cuts back to current time where Yamori is trying to bring himself to correct the situation, but he opts to put his hand on her shoulder and says, it's been a while. He notices she's in her school uniform and asks why. Akira says she always wakes up early, and so she takes walks in the morning before school. She asks Yamori what he's doing, and he says he's heading home. This causes Akira to ask if they can meet up at the same time tomorrow. The next morning or night, whatever you consider, it's 3:30, but Yamori is getting ready to leave Nazuna's to meet up with Akira. Nazuna comments on how it seems like he's going home earlier these days. She starts to tease him about, you do your thing and then just leave right away, and jokes that he's going to go see another woman, aren't you? Yamori avoids eye contact and looks super guilty, and Nazuna's like, wait, for real? Yamori then starts to freak out, and then he runs out of Nazuna's place. Yamori meets up with Akira after hanging out with Nazuna. It's become his routine to meet with Akira before she goes to school. While they're sitting on a bench, Yamori is staring at her while he's lost in thought. She asks what's up, and Yamori asks if it's fun for her hanging out with him. Akira replies with, well, do you not find it fun? Yamori then says, well, it's not that it's not fun. And so Akira says, well, then that's fine. And it's pretty fun for her. He begins to reflect on the situation and starts to wonder if she likes him or something. Yamori turns his head and notices Nazuna creeping on them from behind a tree. Nazuna walks up to them. Yamori thinks that she's pissed, but she goes on about how there's no need for Akira to worry. Their relationship is purely physical. Akira notices that they're calling each other Kokun and Nazuna-chan, and asks Yamori if he likes her. To clear up the misunderstanding, Nazuna tells Ko to stand up, and she sucks his blood. Akira is obviously confused and asks Nazuna what she is. And Nazuna says that I'm a vampire, of course. It cuts to the three of them in a restaurant. Akira asks Yamori why he's letting her drink his blood, and you can tell that Nazuna is curious as well. You can tell that Nazuna and Akira are kind of clashing in this conversation. Akira asks why Yamori stopped coming to school. Nazuna says who cares if he goes, as if it's worth anything. Akira jabs back by saying, will the monster please stay quiet for a bit? Yamori tells Akira that he thought he was getting by fine at school, but then he couldn't be bothered anymore, and that he wasn't having fun, and how are you supposed to deal with that emotion? Akira says that she feels the same way, but she has to go. She puts her hand on his lap and asks him to come to school with her. Nazuna slams her glass down on the table and asks Akira, you're Ko's friend, right? Akira says nah. Nazuna then begins to probe her about what she's been doing all this time. Why didn't she contact Yamori? Then Nazuna gets up and says that she's leaving, and Yamori's sitting there for a bit, and he finally gets up and follows Nazuna. As Ko is following Nazuna, he asks her if she's angry. She says no, but she clearly is. Ko then asks how is he supposed to know if she won't tell him what she's angry about. She tells him to shut up and to think for himself. She jumps on top of a light pole, flips him off, and then she flies away. He's running after her, but loses her, and as he's walking around, a song begins to play, and if anyone knows the song, please let me know. I've tried to use like Shazam to find it, but it doesn't come up with anything, so if you know it, please let me know. Ko decides to take a break, and as he's walking up some stairs, he falls, and causing him to bleed. He presses the transceiver, and at first he gets nothing, but Nazuna presses the button to talk. Ko apologizes. She asks about what, and he says because he was seeing a friend in secret. Nazuna asks, well, why should I be angry over that? And tells him that it's good that he has a friend. Ko says that he wants to make up with her, and then she appears in front of him and asks if their relationship warrants making up. She says that she's not angry truly, but she's just ticked off. She asks Ko why he couldn't answer Akira right away when she asked him to come to school with her. He tells her that at that moment there's no way he could go to school. The reason he hesitated was because he doesn't know how to tell a human friend that he wants to become a vampire. Nazuna notices that he is hurt and asks what happened. He tells her he tripped, and Nazuna grabs his chin and kisses him and then flies off. After that, the episode ends. Some personal thoughts. This anime just keeps getting better and better. I don't usually enjoy relationship animes because they always get kind of boring. But this one is really good, and I look forward to it every week. I'm thinking about doing videos on is it wrong to try and pick up girls in a dungeon or Danmachi, but I'm not too sure. If you want to see videos about that, let me know in the comments. But other than that, that's about it. See ya.